Logical morning, everyone. Welcome to Vidhya presents the Hindu newspaper analysis. Today's session will have following segments. First, overview of today's newspaper. Second, must-know topics and explanation. And third, quiz time with 5 important questions. So, overview of today's newspaper. First topic, Indian stand balanced, independent, says Russia. So, in this topic, we have discussed about Ukraine-Russia crisis. We have discussed Donbas region. We have discussed Luhansk and Donetsk separatist group operating in Russia, and we have also discussed that Russia has recognized these rebel groups and given them an independent republic status. And now we'll see what India has said, and then what is more important is in this topic we will discuss about S-400 missile. So this is important. Otherwise, we all know the remaining topics related to Russia-Ukraine crisis. However, this S-400 missile becomes important. So we will discuss this S-400 missile system. Then this Jammu and Kashmir government approves FDI policy for Union Territory. So the government has approved foreign direct investment policy in the Jammu and Kashmir Union Territory. It aims to facilitate investment exceeding rupees 100 crore with minimum 51% foreign stake. So it has approved FCI for like those entities which are willing to invest, which are willing to have foreign investment of more than 51%. So this is something that you know to remember. This is just for your information. A question won't come directly from this. Another topic is railways installing solar fences to save elephants. So we have been witnessing that because of the railway accidents, the elephants are dying, and not because of just railway accident. There are many animal-human conflicts happening across India because of the increased urbanization, because of the increased clearing of the forest land for agriculture and increased industrialization. So there is a conflict going on between animals and human. And however, because of the railway lines passing through the dense forest area to improve connectivity, accidents been happening between elephant and train. So in order to reduce the death, in order to prevent such accident, the railway is installing solar fences to save elephants. So we'll discuss how this works. Then this topic is related to Ukraine, so we have discussed this. The budget lacks the power to transform services. The topics starting it deals with the budget, that how much budget was allocated last year, how much budget allocated to this year to health sector and to education sector. But that is not important. What is important, it says that how energy is important for other sector, how energy sector is relevant to make sure the objectives of health and education are met. So we'll discuss why energy is important, how it is lacking and what needs to be done. Then this is an interesting topic, that drafting a new constitution is impossible. However, there is no as such information that you have to remember, but it's important to understand. It is important to understand the dynamics of the constitution making during 1950, 1947, 48, 49, and why is it impossible to make such a constitution in these days. So we will discuss what are the challenging points. And the other, most of the news is related to Ukraine-Russia crisis and the UP elections and other state government elections. So there is one more important article, that is understanding the draft India accessibility and use policy. So Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology has released this draft India data accessibility and use policy. So this topic we'll discuss in detail. Also, there is one more topic, NASA's plan to decommission the International Space Station. So it was first launched in the year 1998 as a part of joint effort between United States, Russia, Japan, Canada, and Europe. It operates in low Earth orbit, and because of the limitations of the life cycle, it was initially planned that it will work for 15 years. However, it has exceeded its limit, and now it is observed that it should be decommissioned by 2030. So they are planning to decommission the International Space Station by 2030. And why is it happening? Because when this International Space Station rotates around the Earth, then it comes in, then there is a change in the temperature. When it's on the darker side, it feels cold, that the temperature is very less. And when it's on the sun side of when the International Space Station is on the sun side, then temperature is very high, around 150 degrees Celsius. So because of the continuous change in temperature, it orbits around 16 cycle in a day around the Earth. So because of this change in temperature, the metal that is used is is being not able to tolerate this. It's not being able to tolerate the changes in temperature. Therefore, it becomes difficult to operate it for longer period. Therefore, the NASA is planning to decommission it by 2030. So this is all for this is the overview of today's newspaper. So now we will discuss important topics. So important topics for discussion. First, understanding the draft. There are five topics we'll discuss. That is understanding the draft India accessibility and use policy. Drafting a new constitution is impossible. The budget lacks the power to transform services. Railway installing solar fences to save elephant. And India stand balanced independent, says Russia. So first topic, that India stand balanced independent, says Russia. So in this, we will see what India has to say and why India's stand is important. So at the Security Council, so India has at the Security Council, T.S. Tirumati, permanent representative of India at the UN, has said India had deep concerns but about the development in the region, but stopped short of criticizing Russia's action. However, this is problematic because India is in close relations with Russia. India has good ties with USA also, and USA and Europe. So both these groups are right now at opposite to each other, and India is friend with both these Russia and this US and Europe group. So what is problematic that every country except few countries like China and Pakistan is not criticizing Russia because they are close friends with Russia. So it becomes India to take a stand. It is believed that India should take a stand, otherwise it will affect its relations with USA. However, this is challenging. If India criticizes Russia, then it will affect India's relationship with Russia, and Russia is a major arm exporter to India. More than 50% of India's arm are imported from Russia. So this will impact India's ties with Russia. However, India is in close relations with US and European nations for various equipments like arms and other security arrangement, and also in their importance in Indo-Pacific region. So India is walking a tightrope. India haven't taken such a clear stand till now. India is trying to balance its stand so as to maintain its relations with both Russia and USA and European nations. So we will see currently India has taken a middle path, that India is deeply concerned with the development in the Ukrainian region, in the Ukraine and West Russia crisis. However, it did not criticize Russia for such an action. So we will see what will be the outcome of this, what other countries has to say about India's stand. So what is important is S-400. So in October 2018, India signed a 5.43 billion US dollar deal with Russia for S-400 Triumph missile system. The S-400 Triumph is a mobile surface to air missile system. So first thing you have to remember, it is a surface to air, not ground to ground, not ground to ground. It is surface to air missile system designed by Russia. It is most dangerous operationally deployed modern long range surface to air missile system in the world. The system can engage all type of aerial vehicles, targeting including aircraft, unmanned aerial vehicles, and ballistic and cruise missiles within range of 400 kilometer and altitude of up to 30 kilometer. So its range is 400 kilometer. So it can target all types of things like aircraft, unmanned aerial vehicle, ballistic and cruise missile, and its range is 400 kilometers. So there is an issue like USA can impose sanction on India, that because USA is imposing sanction on Russia because of crisis, then it will be difficult for India to continue with this missile deliveries, purchasing of missile system from Russia. So this is also an issue. So, but we will see what will be the new, whenever there will be new development related to India's stand on Ukraine-Russia crisis and India's stand on purchasing, continuing with this S-400 Triumph deal. So we will see. So in this topic, you just have to remember about S-400. India signed deal in 2018, manufactured and produced by Russia. It's a surface to air missile. Range is 400 kilometer. Question 2, topic 2, railways installing solar fences to save elephants. So I have told you in the overview that because of increasing urbanization, development activity, industrialization, and because of increasing agriculture product need, and all this is happening because of increasing population. So what is happening? So because of this, the forest patches, the forest areas are being cleared, and therefore there is increased conflict between human animal conflict is happening. And also because of increasing connectivity, for example, this is one forest, this is another forest. No, this is one forest, and because of the increasing connectivity, the railway is passing a line through this. And when the animals cross from this side to this side, so they met with an accident and they die. And because of these development, the forest areas are being cleared. So animals are coming to the cities, not cities actually, but the humans are going towards the forest area, and there is an increased conflict between animals and humans, causing death of both humans and animals. And it is also that their land, the habitat of animals are being destroyed by humans, and it is used for agriculture. But when this area of animals is being reduced, so they'll go from this area to another area in search of their food. So they destroy the food crops also, because their habitat has been taken by human beings. So there is an increased rise of human animal conflict. But in this topic we'll see what the railways are doing to prevent elephant deaths. So the Southern Railways was installing hanging solar fence for the first time to prevent elephant movements across the tracks. So it is hanging solar fence. So dozens of wild animals, particularly elephants, have been mowed down by train in Valayar section. You do not have to remember which section where it is being used. So you just have to remember this is one technique which is being used by the railways to prevent elephant death. 3 elephants were killed on the track in Tamil Nadu forest limit near Valayar in single incident in November last year, increasing the demand to check the loss of wildlife on track. The wildlife is very important for the survival of the whole ecosystem and the survival of this planet, because the whole ecosystem, it's not only about human, it's about the plants, it's about the animal. They all play an important role in sustaining the ecosystem, and this ecosystem is important for human. If the ecosystem is lost, if the environment is lost, then the survival of human becomes difficult. Therefore maintaining by maintaining environment and wildlife is very important. Biodiversity becomes very important for the survival of both human and animals. So steel wires are hung in a row, and we have seen that many animals are listed in now critically endangered category. Some of them are listed in extinct species. They do not exist anymore, and this trend is on rise. So government across the country, government across the world, and citizens have to play an important role to preserve the wildlife, and to preserve the biodiversity, plant and animal biodiversity. So what is this new thing? The steel wires are hung in a row from 3 meter high overhead wire. So this is a wire, and this is a wire, this is a pole. Then from this, the steel wires are being hung. The overhead wire is supported by posts at both ends. The hanging wires will touch the ground. These hanging wires will touch the ground. As it is solar powered, as it is mild shock, there will be no threat. So when the animal, that is elephant, will come in contact with these wires, there will be light shock, that they will experience light shock, and then they will not cross that area. So it will prevent their accident with train. So this will, because of this, the accident can be prevented, so death of animal can be prevented. And these fences hang like a curtain with a gap underneath for smaller animals to cross. However, it will not prevent smaller animals to cross this area and to cross the railway line, but this will prevent the larger animals such as elephant to prevent crossing them the railway line. So this is how it is a solar powered, and the shock will be mild. So what is this technique? You have to remember in case they ask. Technique is hanging solar fence. The other technique is that smoke of red chilies is there, and digging rubber pits, so that whenever animal comes near this, so they will fall in, because it is rubber, so it won't hurt them, it won't damage to their body. So these are few of the. And also one more thing is bee sound, use of bee sound. There are 3 4 techniques which are used to prevent the accident of elephant, and to prevent human animal conflict. So these are the four techniques that you have to remember. Apart from these, there are use of science and technology also. Installing monitoring stations. Cameras are being installed in the areas where the where the movement of animal is high, and then using this satellite phones also to 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 prevent this, so as to first, if the person that they are in forest areas, those who are responsible for this, they have satellite phones. If they detect any movement, then they can inform the railway agencies, authorities nearby, that such and such activity is happening, so they have to reduce the speed of the train. So there are many techniques that are there to prevent human animal conflict. The third topic is the budget lacks the power to transform services. So why news role of energy in other sector? So earlier, initially it talks about the budget of last year. Here in this section, it talks about the budget of last year, increase and decrease this year. So that is not important. So what is important that we will discuss, that is health and education continue to share only about 2% each of budgetary allocations annually. So health and education both share around 2%, around 2% of GDP, the budget. The greater allocation of fund is welcome, even if marginally, but as our research on health and education policy documents at the national and state level indicate, the aim of providing better healthcare gets stymied in the absence of electricity and when power provisioning is not linked to desired outcome. So they say, the article says that it is good that the budget is increasing for health and education sector. What is more important? What is more important is the electricity. 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 Without electricity, you cannot get better outcome from health and education sector. In today's world, we are moving towards e-health, e-technology, where there is e-doctor. There are many such, there are users of digital technology in health and education sector. We are moving towards online education. E-education is becoming a norm these days, and it is fueled by COVID pandemic, but it is certainly a future that where there will be blend learning, and it provides multiple avenues. It provides a larger platform for students to learn from their own cities, from their own villages, and access the best content, best course across the world. And same goes with the health. For example, e-consultation with doctor. A person is sitting in his village can consult with the doctor in AIMS through internet, through technology, and all this. For all this e-education, e-health, what is more important is electricity. Electricity is more important. So if electricity is not there, then the outcomes that we are predicting, outcomes that the government is saying that these outcomes will achieve, will not be fructified, because without electricity, these things will not happen. And therefore, the only increasing the budget is not something that is needed. What is needed is to converge these policy. What is needed to include electricity in the budget and health sector. In the health and education sector, the role of electricity in education and health sector must be highlighted. It is widely recognized that the availability of the reliable electricity, and it's not about supplying electricity. For example, this is one village and you just supplied electricity. What is not important? This is not important that you just providing electricity. What is more important is, apart from providing electricity, there is need for providing reliable electricity. Government cannot say that we have given electricity such as a number of villages and cities. What is more important? How much electricity are they getting? What about the timings? For example, if they are getting only 4 hours per day, 6 hours per day, so they need reliable energy. What about the voltage? The power that they are getting is very low. So all this is important, that the timing, that the voltage. It's not about connecting the villages with the electricity. It's about providing the reliable supply of electricity, providing the reliable voltage to carry out their activities. So it says it is widely recognized that availability of reliable electricity supply can improve the delivery of health and education services. So as I told you, it is important. 74% of the targets of sustainable development goals are interlinked with universal access to reliable energy. It says that 74% of SDG targets. So what is SDG? It's a sustainable development goal. There are 17 goals to be achieved by 2030. So in order to achieve these SDG goals, 74% of these SDG goals are dependent on electricity. For example, clean energy. For example, health, education, no poverty. No poverty is there. And there are multiple targets. As I told you, there are 17 targets, and 74% of these targets are relying on energy. Energy is important in order to achieve these SDG goals. Despite this, 44% of schools and 25% of India's health sub-centers and primary health center remain unelectrified. So you see the data. This is the condition of Indian education and health sector. 44% school and 25% of India's health sub-centers and primary health centers remain unelectrified. There is no electricity, and if there is electricity, the electricity is not reliable. The power shortage is there. The issue of voltage is there. Sorry. For the government's proposed energy transition to succeed, these critical facilities require energy access first. So in order to achieve the outcome of these health and education sector, and for the government proposed energy transition to succeed, these critical facilities require energy access first. So energy access required. These statistics only refer to the presence or absence of electricity connection. So these statistics, it refers to only presence and absence of electricity. Its reliability in terms of number of hours that electricity is available steadily without any voltage fluctuation also plays a significant role in delivering services. As I've told you, the availability of electricity, that how much hours the electricity is available, the voltage, all this is important in delivering the good services in health and education sector. A successful policy outcome might be dependent on several invisible aspects that do not get attention and the funding necessary to aid in successful policy delivery. Electricity is being one of them. It says that for a successful policy outcome, there are many aspects which are important in order to make a policy successful, and there are many invisible. For example, when we talk about health sector, what we say, we need more infrastructure, we need doctors, we need more nurses, we need medicines, but what they neglect, electricity, the importance of electricity. So there are such invisible sectors in achieving these outcomes of particular policy, and electricity is one of them which is neglected. Many development policies that have objectives to improve health and education services require facilities to have access to reliable electricity as a prerequisite to qualify for benefit. So there are many development policies that has objective to improve health and education sector, and require facilities to have access to reliable electricity as a prerequisite to qualify for benefit. So there are certain government benefits that are given to institutions, that are given to agencies, or to a particular to a particular health agency, to a particular education institute. In order to get those development benefits, the prerequisite for them is reliable electricity. In order to qualify for the benefit, for eligibility, there is a prerequisite of reliable energy. So this unfairly puts the onus of acquiring reliable electricity supply on individual facilities rather than their department. For example, this is a benefit scheme, and this is a individual health unit. So in order to get the benefit of this scheme, what is required? A prerequisite of reliable electricity. But it is responsibility of the health sector and the government to provide energy to this institution, to this individual unit. However, there is no reliable electricity, so it becomes difficult for this unit to qualify for the benefit of X scheme. So its focus goes on to acquire reliable energy so that it can qualify for the benefit under this scheme. So this places an extra burden on this individual health unit. So such requirement results in facilities and schools that are already deprived of electricity to continue to be excluded from other assistance. And because of this lack of reliable energy, this unit cannot be qualified, unit cannot claim the benefit of this scheme. Therefore it is more like, earlier it is, right now it is not getting reliable energy, but now because it do not have reliable energy, it will be excluded from other benefits of the government. So because of one problem, it is not getting other benefits also. So it says such requirement results in facilities and schools that are already deprived of electricity to continue to be excluded from other assistance. So because of lack of reliable energy, it is continued to be excluded from other assistance also. So that is why electricity becomes important in many sectors. For example, health and education, we have talked about why is it important to achieve the better outcomes of health and education sector. So the policy needs to be in this way, that there should be a policy which converges the outcome. There should be convergence of outcome, and accordingly the policy should be structured in such a way so that all the things that are required to achieve the best outcomes of that policy should be taken in account. Then the article says finance is largely unavailable to ensure reliable electricity supply to schools and health facility. The issue of finance is there. Some directives, such as those governing the use of untied fund, needs to be more flexible in allowing these facilities to prioritize providing reliable and sustainable energy. So there are some tied fund that it can be used for XYZ purpose only. There are some untied fund. So the article says some directives, such as those governing the use of untied funds, so needs to be more flexible. So it says that for untied firm, the directive should be more flexible. The directive should be more flexible so that the institutions or individual unit can provide reliable and sustainable electricity to that particular institution or particular unit. The provision of reliable electricity in turn improves the delivery of health and educational services. And when it will have reliable energy, electricity, we can see the better outcomes in health and education sector. So that's all from this topic. Next topic is drafting a new constitution is impossible. So we'll discuss why this topic is in news. We'll discuss a little bit about the original Constituent Assembly, and then we'll discuss why it is impossible. Why is it impossible to draft the constitution now? So recently, the Chief Minister of Telangana said India needs a new constitution, as according to him, governments at center over the years have been suppressing the power of state. So he says that the government at the center suppressing the power of state, there is a shift of power towards center. It from federal, it is becoming unitary. So it says there is a need for new constitution. So the article says we will never be able to piece together a new constitution in the present day and age, even if we tried, because innovative ideas, however brilliant, howsoever beautifully expressed in the consultation paper and report of commission, cannot give us a better constitution. So it says, however brilliant idea we come up, however brilliant reports and commissions we come up, will not be able to get ourselves a better constitution than the constitution that we have right now. In constitution making, there are other forces that cannot and must not be ignored. It's not about the brilliant ideas. It's not about the brilliant report. There are other factors that needs to be considered in order to look for a new constitution. So what are these things that cannot be ignored if we are looking for a new constitution? First, the spirit of persuasion, of accommodation, and of tolerance. So it says spirit of persuasion, accommodation, and tolerance. All of three are at very low up today. So there is lack of persuasion, there is a lack of accommodation, there is a lack of tolerance in the society as we see today. So which was not there when the constitution, which was very less there when the constitution was being drafted. Therefore, it is very difficult to persuade today's society, people in today's era. It is very difficult to accommodate the needs of every people. It is very, as we see the rising intolerance in the society, these things cannot be ignored. So if we make constitution, these three things will become a major roadblock in the constitution. We can add a few more forces which cannot be ignored today, such as casteism, nepotism, and corruption. Then there are other aspects also, such as casteism. Casteism will also play a role in constitution making. Nepotism will also play a role in constitution making. Corruption is there. Corruption is on rise. So because of all these, it is very difficult to make a new constitution these days. Now we'll talk about the original constitution. So it took 11 months, 2 years, 11 months, 18 days to draft the present constitution. During Constituent Assembly debates, if 5 minutes, listen this carefully, during the constitution debates, if 5 minutes were wasted one day, the House would assemble 5 minutes earlier the next day and sit until night to complete the pending work. So that was the commitment. That was the commitment of those days. That was the commitment in people of those days. And also the issue of corruption we have discussed, tolerance is discussed, accommodation we have discussed, nepotism is discussed. This showed value for time and value for work done for the nation. So if they lost 5 minutes in one day, then they will sit 5 minutes early next day in order to make up for the time that they lost yesterday. This was the dedication for the nation. Now all we see is ruckus and noise in parliament. As you all are aware of what goes on in parliament, you must be reading newspaper, watching news. Now all we see is ruckus and noise in parliament, with little debate or discussion taking place on bills. So there is little debate. You see the farmer bill, the repeal of farmer bill. Then you see there is a 370, Article 370 removal. And then there are many other instances in which you see there are hardly any debate taking place in the parliament. So now all we see is ruckus and noise in parliament with little debate or discussion taking place on bills. During constituent assembly debates, dissenters and hardcore critics were tolerated and their suggestions, if found up, were accommodated. So during those days, if those who dissent, those who criticize and if the constituent drafting assembly found their arguments to be up, they consider. But can we imagine such a situation that if opposition party criticizes, what happens in the parliament? Are their suggestions taken by the government? So this is the problem. This is the problem when it's compared to previous regime. This is the problem, sorry, not previous regime. This is the problem when we compare it to the time when the constitution was being drafted. Today there is a lack of dissent. Today, sorry, not lack of dissent. Today there is no scope for dissent. Today there is no scope for criticism. So all this is lacking. If their suggestions were not found up, there would be healthy debate. What we see today is just blaming each other. The parties are just blaming each other for the work. There is no scope for consideration. There is a lack of tolerance in the society. Now bills are passed without allowing opposition members to express their views completely, let alone accommodating their suggestions. So this is what I mentioned. The bill are passed without allowing opposition members to express their views completely, let alone accommodating their suggestions. So this is also one of the problem why it is difficult to get a new constitution these days. Now, members of Constituent Assembly choose the nation first. Today's leaders tend to choose their party first. So when we talk about the original Constituent Assembly that was constituted in 1946, the members of the Constituent Assembly choose the nation first. Today's leaders tend to choose their party first. So this is one problem. In today's society, in today's politics, we see the members choose their party first. The Constitution states that India is sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. It protects the right of every section of society. On the other hand, today's leader give priority to particular ideologies and caste. So look at the difference between the earlier Constituent Assembly. Look at the people who were framing the Constitution, who were part of Constituent Assembly, and now look at the leaders of today's society. On the other hand, today's leader give priority their particular ideology and caste. So all this becomes a roadblock in getting a better constitution compared to the previous constitution. It is true that governments at the center abuse their power. So article finally says it is true that the government at center abuse their powers to cripple opposition rule state. But that does not call for creating a new constitution. It says that it's fine that it is not new, and then it is that the point that they are making that the center abuses their power to cripple opposition rule state, but that does not call for creating a new constitution. It calls for seeking mandate from people to elect regional parties in general elections so that state can have dominance in the union. So it says that the participation, the awareness in the people is needed so that they select the regional parties so as to reduce the domination of one party in the center. Besides approaching the Supreme Court under Article 131 whenever the need arises to resolve conflict between center and state. And even if such things are happening, the center is usurping the powers of state and center is becoming more powerful. In that case, there is Article 131 of the Constitution of India. That is the original jurisdiction. It is an original jurisdiction of Supreme Court, in which if there is a dispute between center and state, center plus state and state. So under this article, that unit can go approach Supreme Court for resolving of disputes. So this is another way of solving such dispute. However, it does not warrant a new constitution, and we have seen the reasons why it is not possible, why it is impossible to get a constitution better than the present Constitution of India. Now the last topic is understanding the draft India data accessibility and use policy. First, we will discuss about policy, importance of policy, and associated issues. So the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology on February 21, 2022 released a policy proposal titled as Draft India Data Accessibility and Use Policy. What is the aim of the policy? The policy aims to radically transform India's ability to harness public sector data. So the policy aims to harness the available public sector data. As you all know, in today's industrial revolution, in today's IT sector and today's digital revolution, and you can say industrial revolution 4.0, where technology are playing an important role. In such a situation, data becomes important. The data becomes important for new startup. Data becomes important for any company without, because data is considered as the new gold. Data is considered as the oil. Data is considered as the new oil for today's society, for today's economy. So the proposal of the draft data accessibility policy has been in spotlight for permitting the licensing and sale of public data by government to public private sector. So what this draft policy is about, that the government collects, private government collect data. So now through this policy, the public data that the government collects, this policy allows the government to license this data and sell this data to private entities to use this data for economic development, to use this data to better you to the government will give this data to private sector. The private sector will utilize this data for the benefit of the society. The private sector may be granted access to select database for commercial use. The private sector can use this data to for their commercial use. So how this is used? For example, let me tell you example. Let me give an example. For example, this is one society, this is another society, this is another society, and then there is a one, let's say this is a Domino's outlet. So all these society gives order to the Domino's, and Domino's realizes, so Domino's collects the data. So when Domino's collects the data, Domino's have data that this is the society from where most of the orders are coming. So what Domino's will come by the help of this data, the Domino's will open a new outlet here so as to cater the need of this society. So that is how data becomes important in today's arena. So what the policy says, that government is lot of public data, so it can channelize this data, it can sell this data to the private entities, and the private entities can utilize this data. So given that the private sector has the potential to reap massive dividends from this data, it is only fair to charge them for its use. So government will charge for the data. It aims to harness economic value of generated data. The aim is to harness the economic value that the government, that for the data that the government has. The policy will be applicable to all data and information created, generated, collected, and archived by central government. It will be applicable to all data and information created, generated, collected, and archived by the central government. It would also allow state governments to adopt such provisions. So the flexibility will also be given to the state governments. Now the policy strategy is to make government data open by default and then maintain a negative list of data which cannot be shared. So it will be a government data will be open data, then there will be a negative list that such data cannot be shared. Negative list means data cannot be shared. The rest of the data can be shared. Definition of more sensitive categories which should have restricted access is left to the independent government ministry. So then the data might be classified in various categories as sensitive data, personal data, and then the definition will be dependent on independent ministries and how the data they have fall in which categories, and accordingly they will use the data for selling purpose, for keeping it with them. So that we will see how it will happen. So in addition to this, existing data sets will enrich or processed to attain greater value in termed as high value data sets. So that monetary aspect is there. Government data sets, including high value data sets, will be shared freely within the government department, also licensed to the private sector. So within the government data, the data will be shared freely. But for example, in government, there are many ministries, departments. So within these, the data will be shared freely, but when the data from these will be shared to private entities, this will be charged. So they will be charged. As a measure of privacy protection, there is a recommendation for anonymization and privacy preservation. So the policy says that the data will be anonymized, sorry, and there will be privacy. Privacy will also be maintained. So this is two things that the policy highlights in order to prevent the privacy of the individual of which data is collected. However, the challenges, what are the challenges? India does not have a data protection law that can provide accountability and remedy for privacy violations such as coercive and excessive data collection and data breach. India lacks a data protection law. So there is a draft legislation. The draft has been prepared for data protection law for past 2 years. It has been discussed. So India lacks a data protection law which can guarantee the privacy and which can guarantee the recourse in case there is a data breach. So this is one thing. This is one issue, that there is a lack of data protection law in India. Other issue includes question of how center and state are going to share the proceeds from the sale. So when the data will be sold to private entities, then there is no provision how the amount that will be generated from selling of data will be shared between center and state. So this is all in this article. So that's all for today's segment 2, that is the analysis of important topic. So it's time for quiz. 5 important question. Question number 1, India purchased S-400 missile system from which country? Your options are USA, France, Russia, none of the above. The correct option is Russia. Draft India Accessibility and Use Policy 2022 released by which ministry? Your options are Ministry of Science and Technology, Ministry of Home Affairs, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, and none of the above. Correct option is Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. Question 3, the conflict between center and state can be resolved under which article of the Constitution? Your options are Article 121, Article 122, Article 133, 131, option D, option 4, none of the above. The correct option is under Article 131, they can approach the Supreme Court. Question 4, S-400 RAM missile has a range of how many kilometers? So what is the range? The range is 200 kilometer, 300, 400, 500 kilometer. The correct option is C, 400 kilometer. It is a surf. Also, you have to remember it is a surface to air missile. Who among the following was the chairman of Constitution Drafting Committee? Your option are B.R. Ambedkar, Jawaharlal Nehru, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, none of the above. And the correct option is correct option is B.R. Ambedkar. B.R. Ambedkar was the chairman of Constitution Drafting Committee. So that's all for today's session. Stay logical with Vidikya, your best pal in CLAT preps.